Hi, I'm Jeff Cook with Taylor County Cooperative Extension, and this is Backyard Basics. Well, a lot of people know Cooperative Extension for two things, soil samples and 4-H. Well, there's a lot of other things that we offer in Cooperative Extension. We do production meetings for local farmers. We do farm tours. We help out in schools. We help out in the community. And we also, a lot of people do know about our 4-H camping program and our Master Gardener program, where local volunteers are taught, basic gardening techniques, information on how to grow things, soil sampling, and ways they can help out the extension office, by answering homeowner calls and things like that. So basic gardening and basic agronomy, soils, insects, diseases, weeds, things like that. Another program that's offered through Extension in some areas is what's called the Master Naturalist program. Kind of like the Master Gardener program, that's open to anybody that wants to participate. I think there's a small fee. And what the Master Naturalist program focuses on is it focuses on what's around you. A lot of people probably in Georgia and a lot of other places probably take for granted on the environment around them. The trees, the weeds, the plants that they see in the woods. A lot of people probably walk through the woods past the same things every day, don't know what they're walking past. See butterflies on weeds in their yard, don't know what they are. Birds flying around, whether they're songbirds or raptors, don't know what kind they are, don't know why they're there or what brings them to their property. Well, the Master Naturalist program will help teach people about that. It's about a 9-week program where it's once a week, not for 9 weeks. You do 1 day a week, and you have different classes that set up, to where you're doing a little bit of classroom stuff, and you're doing a lot of hands-on and a lot of outside things. Whether you want to learn about planted pine trees or timber production, or if you want to do more about wildlife and how to bring more animals to your property, whether you want to just sit in the woods and take pictures of birds or animals, or whether you want to bring more animals to your property so you can shoot them and eat them. The Master Naturalist program has something for everybody. So we're going to meet with Carol Kelly, who is the ag agent in Bibb County. She's going to meet us over here in Reynolds, and she's going to bring some of her volunteers and some of her instructors to talk a little bit more about the different pieces and parts of what you can expect from the Master Naturalist program, and we'll give you some information later on how you can call up to get more information or call up to register for the class if you're interested. So with that, we're going to go find Carol and some of her friends. Ready?
Hey, my name's Amy Deaver. I am here to show folks about the Adopt-A-Stream program. This is a program that's sponsored by the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. It is a program whereby volunteers are trained to monitor various aspects of streams in the state of Georgia. And I have been certified through the Adopt-A-Stream Georgia program. Took that course during a Master Naturalist class session that took place last year, 2013, that was sponsored by the Bibb County Extension Office. And in the course of getting trained by Adopt-A-Stream, we learned to use this kit that tests for various chemical factors, including oxygen, conductivity, and pH in the water. This kit is a setup that we get. The Macon Water Authority has partnered with the Adopt-A-Stream program in Bibb County, and they are sponsoring several of these kits. And the goal is to have a group of volunteers adopt a stream of water. We're here at the Flint River today, but typically people adopt just local creeks. We work at my spot that I use is with another couple of gals is up in Macon at Jackson Springs Park. But today I'm going to show you this kit. We've got various chemicals in here. We collect water samples. We've got a nice little instruction sheet that reminds you how to do everything. We've got a form that we get from the Adopt-A-Stream. Download this from Adopt-A-Stream, and we take notes in the field on the form, and then all that's input in the on the website for Georgia Adopt-A-Stream for our particular project. We've got a number and identification. Anyways, what we come out and typically do with our kit is we do an air temperature. We've got a thermometer. We'll check the temperature of the air. Then we check the temperature of the water. We have here also a conductivity, which checks the conductivity of the water. That's just you just actually stick this machine directly in the water and it will give you a reading about that. And I'm going to show you one of the quicker tests that we do. We've got some tests where we get a couple of different samples. You have to have at least 2 certified people participating. You can have as many participants as you want, but each time you want 2 certified participants so that you can get 2 samples each, and then that way you sort of check your results. But one of the things that's easy to do is to test the pH of the water, and I'll show you how we do that. You just go in, you get yourself a vial, and fill it up good of water. There's a couple of different colored sheets, but the wide range indicator is the chemical that we use for this particular process. It includes drops of water, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 drops of this chemical into the vial. You put the top back on, shake it up good, and I hope you can see in the camera, but it's got a color. And we've got 2 different gauges here for testing pH, and they run the gamut from a sort of a purpley color to a yellow color, and the goal is to find one of these colors that's as close as you can get to the sample that you take. And sometimes it helps if you put it up against a sheet of paper, white paper, to get a better sense. But what we've got here is what looks to me to be a pH reading that matches up with the color of 7.0. We've got another one. I always try to compare it to, that's the very top of that particular gauge. And if you look at this compared to this, I think there's a certain amount of green in there, so I will go with my first choice, which is the color gauge that shows the 7.0. So we'll put that on our form, and again, we've got 2 vials in the kit, so we'd make 2 tests of that. You know, I think everybody that's involved in the program, as I am, is very interested and concerned about the quality of water in our state throughout the various watersheds. It's very important that we have the kind of data that volunteers can collect, because there simply aren't enough resources in the state to collect this kind of data. So it's a great program for people that are interested in the environment. It's very interesting. We do it, you try to set up a schedule where you do it on a regular basis, once a month, submit that data to Adopt a Stream. And again, there's training on some other aspects that include biological agents in the water, but that's a much more complicated process to get that information. You have to incubate your samples, and that'll give you some ideas of what sort of bacterial formations are in the water. But it's a great program. I've been working on my group up in Macon since January of this year. We've reported results on a monthly basis. There are a number of streams in our area that are not being reported on, so we can always use more people to get certified. You can contact your local extension agent office, and they'll put you in contact with Georgia Adopt a Stream, or you can go directly on Georgia Adopt a Stream's website and see when the training sessions are and get yourself certified. It's a great program, and I enjoy doing it. Thank you.
All right, one of the classes that we're going to do with the Master Naturalist program is going to be focusing on wildlife. And since I couldn't get any wildlife to pose with me, I'm really just going to talk more about the habitat side of it. But we're going to have some hopefully biologists from DNR and local experts that are going to talk about both game and non-game species, that we have in Georgia. And we're going to focus on Georgia too. We're not going to really focus on any other states. But the game and non-game species and ways that you can, improve your viewing of them, different things you can do to improve habitat for them. But what I was going to talk about here is just one other section with the wildlife. We're going to touch on forestry and things you can do there. But we're going to talk about things you can do to improve your land, whether it's 1 acre in the city or if it's hundreds of acres out in the country. Things you can do to improve your land for wildlife, depending on what kind of wildlife you're looking at. So we're going to talk about things like pine tree production or timber production and thinning of timber, to open up areas and allow native and non-native, like this kudzu, plants to kind of thrive, to give some natural browse for deer and other mammals, and also provide seed and fruit for birds, songbirds and things like that. But we're also going to talk about possibly making wildlife openings, like this big opening right here. It used to be a loading dock when they thinned. They made it into a nice little wildlife opening. They've got deer stands set up around them, which you could have a deer stand here for hunting. You could also have a deer stand for just sitting and viewing, what wildlife came out here. You could come down here, you could hunt all day long with your camera, take pictures of wildlife as it comes into here. You could let this natural area grow up in native browse. You got some native plants growing in here, even some crabgrass and stuff. Or you could go one step further, bring your tractor down here and plant you a food plot like he's got with these iron clay peas. So there's a lot of things that you can do to improve wildlife, and there's a row of apple trees or pear trees planted over here. So you've got a lot of different things that you can do that are going to improve, your wildlife viewing or your hunting experience, or just even if you don't even come out to look at it, it's going to improve the habitat for wildlife on your property. And one thing that I don't ever talk about, but if you can look at some of these flowers out here, which is actually chicory out here, there's a lot of butterflies and a lot of other little insects. So you actually improve the habitat for insects and butterflies, caterpillars. So you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot for a lot of different kind of species of animals and insects, birds and mammals and reptiles and amphibians.
Hi, this is John Trussell from Warner Robins. I'm a recent Master Naturalist graduate, and I do want to encourage you to come out and sign up for this year's Naturalist program. I'm sure that you will find it highly informative and educational, and you'll have a lot of fun like I did. In our last class, I took a lot of folks out to Oakey Woods, the wildlife management area in Houston County. And one of the things that we find there are remnants of the last time that this part of the world was inundated by water. You're probably familiar with the fall line, which runs from Columbus to Milledgeville over to Augusta. It's about a 20-mile strip of land that was basically, it was a break point between the highlands and the ocean. So basically right now we're over here in Taylor County at the Flint River, and this used to be underwater. It was millions of years ago, but from about 260 million years ago till about 60 million years ago in the Mesozoic time period, all this was underwater, and we'll discuss that in more detail during the class. But I want to show you today a sand dollar that came from Oakey Woods in Houston County, only a short distance from here. And as you look at it, you can see that it looks pretty much like the sand dollars you find today. They haven't changed very much, but this very well illustrates that we were underwater. This was the seashore, and we can find remnants of it here today. The same type of really pretty formation, really nice. And this is a part of a coral formation that also came from Oakey Woods, and it's hollow in the center, but this is part of a coral formation from the same geologic formation that we have in Houston County that goes all through Middle Georgia like we just talked about. Anyway, our last class went to the kaolin mines in Twiggs County, where they do mine a lot of kaolin, and they find fossils like these, and you'll have a chance to go there and find some fossils for yourself. I have another thing that you might be interested in. This is the vertebrae of a Basilosaurus whale, And it lived at the same time, about anywhere from 265 million years ago to about 60 million years ago in this part of the world. This is part of the backbone vertebrae, and these were the ribs would come out sort of like this. And so we have a lot of various whales in the area, and this is just one of them. They've got one like this in the Museum of Arts and Sciences in Macon, and they call it Ziggy, so go by and take a look at it. But you're liable to find some of these on your expedition. Most likely you'll find a scallop shell, you might find a sand dollar. I found some sand dollars this year. But anyway, I think you'll find the class highly informative. Hope that you get a chance to visit Oakey Woods, see the natural formations there, walk in the limestone cliffs, and go over to Twiggs County and see the kaolin formations over there and learn about geology and the natural world. But anyway, come on out and sign up for the class. You'll have a great time, and hope to see you there. Thank you.
Another day during the Master Naturalist program, probably in the morning, we're going to touch on farming. We're not going to just talk about conventional farming, like your row crops, like this cotton field behind me. We're also going to talk about organic farming and, kind of what goes into it. Kind of explain, what goes into making, producing a field of cotton like this, just to give you a better idea, because there's a lot of farming in our area, a lot of farming in Georgia in general, and a lot of people drive past it every day, probably don't know what it is, and there's still people out there, grown folks, that may not know that this is a field of cotton, may not understand how cotton grows, may not know that peanuts grow underground, may have never seen a corn picker or a cotton picker or a corn combine. So we're going to kind of touch on that, maybe let you see how these things are done, meet some of the farmers that produce our crops in Georgia, and just give you a better understanding of what it takes to be a farmer. There's a lot more that goes into it than just planting seed and harvesting. So like I said, another aspect of the Master Naturalist program is going to be touching on farming, both organic and conventional.
Hey, I'm Carol Kelly from the Bibb County Cooperative Extension Office in Macon. We have had the pleasure the past few years of doing the Master Naturalist program. The statewide program started 15, 20 years ago down in coastal Georgia and with the County Extension Service. And since that time, it has moved to Warnell School of Forestry and Natural Resources. Their school, in conjunction with Cooperative Extension, runs the program here in the state. It is currently held throughout the state in county offices, in nature centers, in state parks. So if you're interested and not close enough to come to ours in Macon, please visit the website, look it up online, and check out somewhere closer to you. We've been doing it in Bibb County since 2008. We had a couple of master gardeners who were interested in natural resource conservation and stewardship who thought this would be a good program for us to put on, and we put the program together. So in central Georgia, we focus on our forest ecology, our wildlife, our fall line geology, things that would be pertinent to our area. And since we tend to be urban with Houston County and Bibb County, we also spend a decent amount of time on things like water treatment, solid waste management, the problems we bring to our urban areas of the state. Our program this fall is going to start the first Thursday in September and go through the final Thursday in October. You'll be spending all day, each day out, doing field trips, visiting different locations. And we hope to have a good, diverse crowd from Middle Georgia. This is not a class to build activism. This is a research-based information class. We just want to attract people who know a lot and maybe don't know so much about environmental issues and natural resource issues to learn more and see what we can do to improve our communities. So I mentioned that we usually have a fairly diverse schedule with urban issues as well as ecological natural resource topics. Typically the class starts out at Okmulgee National Monument. Many of us have had the opportunity to go there at some point in our lives. The good thing about the behind-the-scene tours that we've got with Okmulgee is not only are you reminded of our ancient cultures and why we got established here along the Okmulgee River, but you also get an insider's glimpse down in the archives in the basement where they've got all of the pottery and peace pipes and all the things that are not on display for the common public. Also that day, one of our Mercer professors will give us a talk on ecology as well as invasive species, which is an important topic for us in Middle Georgia. Typically, one of our early days we'll go to Charlene Plantation, which is out in Twiggs County. Many of y'all probably know that this is the land owned by Rose Lane Lavelle's family, Chuck Lavelle's wife. It's been in her family for many generations, and they are always very nice and very generous, letting us come out and see how they manage their property for wildlife, their forestry management, their wildlife management. The morning that we're out there, we'll spend with Dr. Jim Ferrari. He's going to give us a lesson on forest ecology. That's going to include plant ID, tips on how to ID native plants, and tips on how to pick these plants out of the surrounding forest. One of the days we'll get to go down to Cayman. Many of y'all probably know this location as the former Huber. This is our chalk mine, which is something very specific for us here on the fall line in Middle Georgia. We're fortunate that the folks at Cayman, the safety officer and the geologist, invite us in. They give us the history of why we have kaolin on the fall line, and they'll take us into the mines. And just recently, they've also allowed us to do some fossil digging. So last year, everybody got to leave with some fossils from the mines, which was a great treat. I mentioned waste management. We visit the Houston County landfill each year. This year we're also going to have the special treat of visiting the Columbus Recycling Center. We understand it's a new state-of-the-art center built to educate the public and visitors that come in. So we'll spend a day over in Columbus with these folks. In addition, the Houston County landfill just down the road is touted as being the second best in the country, and we get to go right around with Mr. Deach, and he gives us a tour, and we see how they are using the methane from the landfill to generate electricity. So very interesting at this site as well. Macon Water Authority has been a very generous host for us each year. We get to see both the water and the wastewater side of things. The water treatment plant is nationally recognized. We get to visit the plant and go from the Oltmuggy River, see the water pumped into the Lucas Lake, which is the reservoir that supplies all of Bibb County and some of the surrounding counties as well. Once it leaves the lake, we get to see it go through the purification and aerification and filtration processes to become Macon's drinking water. As part of this tour, we'll get to see the labs and the state-of-the-art command center as well. The other half of the day we spend at the wastewater treatment plant. I think it's very important for all of us in urban areas to realize what happens to our waste once we're done with it. So we'll go to the Lower Poplar reclamation plant, where we'll get a tour of waste coming in and how it's cleaned and managed before it goes back out into the river. Graduates of the Master Naturalist class have been very active the past couple of years. We've had a few bonus trips after the end of the class for those that have been interested. We've had the opportunity to go to Oakey Woods and have an all-day tour where we judged champion trees, looked for fossils, and enjoyed the state-owned property. We've also had have many opportunities to volunteer. Volunteerism is not a requirement of the class, it's encouraged, and there's many opportunities in and around Middle Georgia to volunteer. You heard Amy speak about Adopt a Stream. We've had several of our folks come out of the program and volunteer to assess water quality. We've had volunteers set up booths to talk to the public at Earth Day events in Macon, and there's the annual Oltmuggy Alive event sponsored by the Macon Water Authority and the Georgia Department of Natural Resources that we usually take a group of master naturalists and 4-H'ers to each year. So whether you're from Bibb County, Houston County, Taylor County, Peach County, whether you are an avid outdoorsman or someone who's just learning to enjoy and appreciate their natural surroundings, we hope you'll consider joining us this year. I don't think there's many opportunities for adults to get out and enjoy and learn about natural resources like this, and this is definitely something we can all share with our children and grandchildren.
All right, well, hopefully this show was pretty informative and gave you a better idea of what the Master Naturalist program is about. Like Carol said, if you have questions, you want to know more about it, you can actually go on UGA's website and look up Master Naturalist, but you can also visit, you can email the Bibb County Extension Office or call the Bibb County Extension Office to get more information or to go ahead and get registered. So hopefully, you know, like I said, hopefully we get some folks registered. It's going to be a great program. It's going to teach you more about the world around you. Well, that's about it for this month. Hope y'all join me next month. Like I said, my name is Jeff Cook. This is Backyard Basics, where we're filmed here in your backyard.